Welcome back. We are Super Pint Bros. I'm Seabaugh, and this is...
Sexy Mathias.
That's right, Sexy Mathias. He brought his sexy game for episode 3!
Man, I am super excited.
We got doctors 7, 8, and 9!
Alright, here's what we got. Innocent Gun, you've described it as basically a whiskey beer.
They get the beer, and they base, from what I've been told, I don't know if I'm true or not, but it's the internet's telling me this, it's beer that they age in used whiskey barrels. So if you like whiskey and you like beer, guess what? They had a nice little love child called Cthulhu, which is going to get in your mouth head and spread it wide open.
Yeah, it's going to be tasty, delicious.
Yes, so side note, Sylvester McCoy, 7th Doctor, Doctor Who had like this weird phase where there was no Doctor Who for like 5 or 6 years or something like that. Sylvester McCoy comes in, and he's actually Scottish. Legit, proper Scottish. So technically he is British, because it's all the same, and I don't know the politics of England. But he's Scottish. I met him last year at Dragon Con dressed as the Doctor, and I wasn't wearing any pants, and he thought that was just about the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, you were the pantsless doctor.
I was the pantless Doctor.
If you go on Google, type in pantsless doctor, this idiot pops up. Sometimes with an ood at his crotch.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
Ood definitely is a
That's a crotch monster. Anyways.
Total crotch monster. So, back to the Innocent Gun. I have no idea what the alcohol content in this is, but it's going to taste like whiskey, so I don't really care. Let's get cracking.
What I like about whiskey, always tastes a little bit like vanilla. So. Ooh.
Pour out at you first. I've had this before.
Ooh. Sylvester McCoy. He was really cool when we met him. He was excited to meet everyone, and he's so much shorter than you'd think he was. I'm like 5'8", maybe. He had to be a good inch shorter than me. And the cool thing about this dude, walks around with a cane.
Absolutely. I don't know if it's just because he thinks it looks badass, or if he needs it because he's 153 years old right now, but hey, I'll go with it. He kind of does look like a hobbit. Funny enough, he's going to be in
The Hobbit.
Dude plays spoons.
Yeah.
Like last year at Dragon Con, he was in a panel. It was called the Doctor panel. It was him who played the Doctor, Doc Hammer from Venture Brothers, a doctor from NASA, and then some other doctor. I can't remember what it was. And at one point in the middle of the panel, he goes, "Excuse me, that man's wearing a pirate hat." Runs down, puts on the pirate hat, comes back up on stage with it. Doesn't make any sense. He is the epitome of a drunken little Scot like you'd expect at a con, and he's a nerd.
Yep, and what's fun about him too is that he started with a comedy background and then moved to being the Doctor, where he started off being extremely lighthearted, and then his series turned very dark. And he was a great Doctor. I really liked the episodes of him that I saw, and he's the only Doctor to trick a Dalek into, well, basically blew up his head.
Yeah, he literally used logic in a Dalek, and its head exploded. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
So, let's try this.
Delicious. Smells like a lager.
Smells like lager and kind of a little vanilla-y, which you get with whiskey.
Wow. You're right. Yeah, that actually really is really good.
Whiskey beer. That's all it is. It's whiskey and beer together.
Yeah.
I can't describe. I mean, it's super light. It's very, very caramel colored. You get the vanilla with the flavor.
It's like a good version of Old Speckled Hen.
Sure. If you haven't had that, it's not for people who don't drink beer. I'll give you that. If you don't like beer, you're not going to like this. If you like whiskey, it's a good transition or gateway drug into beers. Or vice versa. If you drink beers and you like beers, it's a good way to kind of get into whiskeys a little bit. If I had to remind me of a whiskey, I don't want to say Jameson.
No, Jameson was the first thing that popped in my head.
Jameson or what's not Glenfiddich? Glenmorangie a little bit? Yeah,
okay,
Glenmorangie. Yeah, kind of that.
Scotch.
Yeah, which just whiskey that's made in Scotland. So on a 1 to 11, what are you going to give this?
Giving it a 9. It's surprisingly bright and delicious.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 as well.
Yeah, well done.
It's really, really good. I like this beer. Good job, Innocent Gun. This is from the man who said he wouldn't like this at the beginning.
Yeah.
Just like the Seventh Doctor. Once you meet it in person and he gets into your mouth, you'll love it just that much more.
Funny thing, when we met the Doctor, he was drinking.
He was.
That was so cool.
Yeah. Well, he was at a bar. At a con.
Well, yeah. But go to Dragon Con, people. Go to Dragon Con.
Dragon Con. You have to.
And then look us up. We might be,
We'll be floating around with this to get you on the interwebs. It'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. Alright, now after our awesome Seventh Doctor of whiskey and beer at the same time, we thought there was this quite big, huge gap between the 7th and 8th Doctor. Doctor Who was in hiatus. They canceled it. There was no more. There's some audiobooks and things like that, but not that much. And then in 1998...
No, 96.
96.
Yep.
Was it 96?
It was 96.
Okay, 96. Fox came out... I don't know, we'll look it up. I'm sure you guys will let us know. Fox got the rights to Doctor Who. And they made a movie, a special or whatever you want to call it, and it was aired after the Super Bowl. The most American thing possible. Let's get a really, really big British sci-fi staple and make it American.
Well, what we got for you here is quite possibly the most American beer this side of, well...
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
So what we got here is we got us some Bud Light Platinum. Because it debuted during the Super Bowl, just like the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann.
Hell yeah, he did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So, and the reason we're saying that this is the 8th Doctor, because they say this is beer, but it ain't. It actually malt liquor. It's a good little kick, it's a little over 5%, and for the calories and for the price, you can't go wrong. Hells no. But just like the 8th Doctor, it ain't really the Doctor, because it was made by Fox, the same company that makes Hell's Kitchens, and they just declawed Gordon Ramsay for that, man. I don't get it. I like seeing him yell at people.
I mean, hurt.
So, I don't know. It's made from rice. It ain't made from grains like beer is.
It's rice and corns and it's got that maize in it.
We ain't gonna pour it in a glass or nothing.
Hell no.
This is how you're supposed to drink it.
Yep.
So
shit,
it smells like Budweiser. I mean that's what it smells like.
It's real simple, y'all. It's real simple.
It's Budweiser. Okay, let's try this.
I'd go to hell. I love the shit out of this.
It tastes like Budweiser. That's all I gotta say.
It's 6% alcohol. It don't really taste like no Budweiser I ever tried before, but it pretty damn well. I love the hell out of this shit.
All right. Well, he liked the Bud Light. I ain't like it so much. It's just Bud Light. Drinking more of it. Oh God. And kind of like that Doctor. He had that weird blue thing. First off. Okay, I can't talk like this. Between 7 and 8, you see Sylvester McCoy walk out of the TARDIS, and he gets shot in a drive-by for no reason whatsoever.
Whatever. Nope.
No reason.
Nope. No reason.
He gets shot, they take him to the hospital, they're going to stop his heart for whatever reason, because when you go to the hospital, they tell you, we have to stop your heart to save your life. That makes sense, right?
Yep. Yep. It's... And then on top of that, you've got Paul McGann, who he was actually really good as a Doctor, and I respect him. If he came back, you know what? That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like if he's in the 50th anniversry episode,
I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be.
You know what? I want all of them to be.
They announced 4 that Tom Baker's gonna be.
Not officially. He said he'd be willing to do it, but
yeah, whatever. So yeah, the guy gets shot. He regenerates the Doctor. He's in San Francisco. The Master, for the first time, is played by an American. Who the hell played the Master?
Eric Roberts.
That's right. Wasn't he in like a
God.
Wasn't he in an Adam Sandler movie at one point?
I don't know, but he was in The Dark Knight. You gotta respect him for being in The Dark Knight.
Oh, that's right. He was a gangster in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, who
God.
got dropped.
Another good thing about The Dark Knight, the guy who played the mayor was Batman Well in The Tick, the live-action version of The Tick.
Oh, neat.
So he was the Batman spoof, but then he was actually in a legitimate Batman movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that was. We want to say the Doctor was what, about 600 or 700 years at that point,
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
And that's when he got busy for the first time. He actually got a little bit of action. So I
Yeah.
guess 700 years old is like 13 or 14 for a Time Lord.
That's when he peaked. That's when he peaked.
I guess. I don't know. So on a 1 to 11, what are we giving this beer?
I'm gonna give this an 11. Absolutely. I stand by that.
I'm gonna give it a 2, just for the fact that it's cheap. It's
No, it's not. It's not cheap.
the 6-pack is like $5 or $6.
For this, you want to pay $5 or $6 for this? For $5 or $6, you could buy one bottle of something awesome. Not that this is not totally awesome. I want money, Budweiser.
I like how
That's
they-
what I'm looking for here.
They even put lager on the front. Right there it says lager. It's malt liquor.
Yeah, this is just...
This is gray area of what's beer, what's not.
It's 137 calories, so...
Yeah, so for the money, for the calories, for the alcohol content, and I guess for the price, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 11.
You know what? It's got that neat, like, vodka blue...
Yeah.
It's basically a TARDIS.
Just, yeah, I mean...
It's TARDIS blue.
Yeah, that's one thing it gets. It's blue. So it's a Clorox bottle. Well, the caps are.
Clorox. Yeah. Well, no, you're thinking of Windex.
Windex.
Windex. It's a lot like Windex. Just don't try and clean anything.
I want to squirt
well
bubble top
sticky.
for this.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. This is just, no, I'm good. I'm not drinking Bud Light on camera anymore. So, kind of like the 8th Doctor, it had the opportunity to be good. It's just made by a really, really bad production crew and idea and everything. So you get really good ingredients and you put it in terrible line, this is what you get.
This is a scientist beer. It's people who don't drink beer sat around and came up with the recipe using untraditional grains in order to try and maximize the amount of alcohol and
Lower the calories.
And this is what you get. It's something
bad.
special.
It's
It's
bad.
not the worst beer. It
No.
doesn't have bacon in it.
No.
And it's not like a popped zit in terms of flavor, but it's still pretty bad.
This is really bad, yeah. I gotta find that most of our beers we're really, really liking these, we're really hating them.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we picked them all out, folks.
Yeah.
You didn't do this. We eventually are gonna have a thing where you guys tell us what beers to try, and we're going
Yeah.
to. But as of right now, this is our own fault. So, one up.
Yeah.
Not drinking that. So, after the 8th Doctor, once again, no Doctor Who, because Fox
jeez.
screwed it up for a good long while, too.
What was
Then, in 2005, Russell T Davies, the mastermind behind Queer as Folk, Casanova, and a couple other
Yeah.
shows with David Tennant,
Yep.
he got the basically permission from BBC to redo Doctor Who.
Yep.
A couple of things he really did that some people liked and some people didn't like was he kind of rebooted it. He made a time war that we never saw. We never see the Doctor regenerate from the 8th to the 9th Doctor. And he really didn't like, from what I've been told, or not what I've told, what I've seen in interviews of him, was he didn't like the whole complication of the Time Lords around. So being the good writer he is, he got rid of them.
Yeah.
He killed an entire race and didn't tell us why, how, or anything until like 2.5 seasons later.
Yeah.
So, we get to see Christopher Eccleston show up and Ugly, Ugly Rose.
Now, Christopher Eccleston, wow. Great Doctor.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and you know what? Because he's so fantastic, we need a fantastic beer.
We do. So we decided to get Great Divide Brewing Company Chocolate Oak Aged Yeti. This is an awesome, awesome beer. You can get one at your local good beer store for about $9. It's a little higher gravity. It's an imperial stout, so that means it has more alcohol in it. Plus, and it's got a Yeti on the cover. I mean, come on, guys. Can't go wrong with this.
You can't. It's such a good beer. Regular Yeti is just outstanding. It's a little bit hoppier in terms of a stout, but The chocolate oak aged Yeti. Oh, it's just.
It's one of those beers from Colorado, and when you make anything a mile up, I don't know what it is. It just makes it really good or really bad. Case in point, Fat Tire and this.
Oh.
Fat Tire's good out there. It's terrible on the East Coast. So, go ahead and pour one of these. Crooked? So, just like the Ninth Doctor, this beer is big head. It's very dark. It's very thick. You can't see a thing into this.
Large nose.
Very, very large nose. For those of you who don't know the beer terms, nose means how it smells. There's a ton. It's very, very complex. It does kind of crisp like Rice Krispies does. It's dark, it's complex, you can't see a thing into it. It's just like the Ninth Doctor.
It's black as engine oil.
If ever there was a beer that basically had genocide on against its own race, it'd be this one right here.
I agree.
It's like a chocolate milkshake.
It's so good.
So thick, so dark, so chocolate, and you get that oak flavor too. It's like Guinness and a chocolate shake at the same time. That's what this reminds me of.
And surprisingly thick too.
Yes.
Like it's thick as a Guinness on nitro, but there's no nitro. It's just regular CO2 that's carbonated this thing. So I love it. I think it's such a good beer.
So thick. I mean, when I pour it out of that, it drags the glass. So
this is a meal on itself.
It really, really is. And it's got this annoying little rose following it around. I'm sorry, my problem with Rose, all of you who love Rose, here's my problem. Rose shows up and screws up everything the entire season with Eccleston. That's all she does.
Yeah.
She breaks things, she messes things up, she whines and complains. Her mom's even worse. She's got the annoying boyfriend. On top of that, the first episode, she's like, oh, hey boyfriend, well, screw you, I'm not even going to say bye. And I just run off with some strange man in a box and disappear.
I hate the slow motion outro to that first episode. She's running into the TARDIS slow motion.
Basically what happened was they needed like an extra 10 seconds of fill and they ran out of footage, so like, slow it down. That's really what it was.
I don't like the first episode of Eccleston's run. Everything else is spectacular.
It's entirely about her. It's the very first time Doctor Who is not about the Doctor, it's about the companion. The thing I did like about that season was they brought a bunch of monsters and weird aliens and stuff back. That was kind of cool. Of course, they all have British accents still for some reason. But yeah, she killed the Ninth Doctor. And anyone who says she was a good companion, she wasn't. She killed him, and then when we get to Tennant's, We'll get to that with the next episode. So,
Tennant's next?
Yes. On a 1 to 11, what are you gonna rate this?
I rated a 10.
You know what I'm gonna rate this? I'm gonna rate it a 9. Oh, this is the point where we're supposed to tell them to watch the show some more. So guys, guess what? We've got just 6 days until Dragon Con. Actually, only 5 for those of you who show up like we do. We will be there Thursday night, going around drinking with you guys. If there's any certain beers you want to see us review, tell us. We'll put them on the show.
Even better, give them to us.
Give them to us. Bring them to Dragon Con. We'll drink it with you. We'll put them on camera. See the space right here? This could be inhabited by your beer while you're off camera watching us drink the beer you give us.
Yep.
We will allow this to happen because we love you that much.
So much.
Always remember, follow us on Facebook. Like us, like us, like us, like us, like us, like us, like us. Follow us on Twitter. We are at Super Pint Bros. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube as well. New videos will come up every week in case you're not big on the Facebook machines. Subscribe to us on the YouTubes right here. This little button right here. Right here. Subscribe. 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 Thanks again for joining us. See you guys next week at DragonCon.
I'm so excited.